Calling to order this hearing. This is a public hearing of the Committee of the Whole of the Council of the District of Columbia. I'm Phil Mendelson, Chair of the Council and Chair of the Committee of the Whole. Today is Wednesday, July 3rd, 2025. The time is 10:16 in the morning. We are in room 412 of the John A. Wilson Building. This hearing is being recorded. It was available on the council's website, which is www.dccouncil.gov. The subject of this morning's hearing is consideration of, well, I don't know the exact number. I'm going to say approximately 10 bills. And they are Bill 26-120, which is entitled the Congress Cove Court Designation Act of 2025, which was introduced on February 10th of this year. It would officially designate the public alley system within square 6153, located around 3929, 3931 4th Street Southeast, close to the intersection of 4th Street and Atlantic Street, designated officially as Congress Cove Court. The second bill is Bill 26-139, introduced on February 25th by Councilmember Allen, and its purpose is to officially designate the public alley system in Square 775, bounded by 3rd Streets Northeast, K Street Northeast, 4th Street Northeast, and I Street Northeast as Gallery Court. The next bill is Bill 26-165, entitled the Judith E. Heumann Memorial Bridge Designation Act of 2025. This bill was introduced by Councilmember Fruman and joined by several others on March 4th of this year. And its purpose is to officially designate the bridge on Connecticut Avenue, located between Devonshire Place and Macomb Street Northwest, as the Judith E. Heumann Memorial Bridge. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing her last name. This is the bridge over Klingle Valley. The next bill is Bill 26-220, entitled the Elmore Friendship Court Act of 2025. The stated purpose of this bill is to officially designate the public alley system within Square 1084 as Elmore Friendship Court. The next bill is Bill 26-222, which was introduced by Councilmember Zachary Parker on April 4th of this year. It's entitled the Alfred Dudley Senior Way Designation Act of 2025. The stated purpose of this bill is to symbolically designate the 2900 block of Mills Avenue Northeast as Alfred Dudley Senior Way. The next bill is Bill 26-234, entitled the Henry E. Baker Alley Designation Act of 2025. This was introduced on Tuesday, April 29th by Councilmember Nadeau, and the stated purpose is to officially designate the public alley system in Square 2857, bounded by Harvard Street, Sherman Avenue, Girard Street, and 11th Street Northwest as Henry E. Baker Alley. The next bill is Bill 26-242, entitled the Marvin Slush Gross Way Designation Act of 2025, introduced on May 5th of this year by Councilmember Robert White and joined by a couple other council members. And the stated purpose of this bill is to symbolically designate Sumner Road Southeast as Marvin Slush Gross Way. The next bill is Bill 26-248, introduced on May 16th of this year by Councilmember Parker, entitled the Philip Reed Memorial Park Designation Act of 2025. The stated purpose of this bill is to symbolically designate a parcel of land located in Woodridge as Philip Reed Memorial Park. And official designation of an alley or public space enables placement of addresses, related signage, and possible development. Symbolic designations are just that. And are subordinate to any official names that may exist. There are additional bills that are subject of this hearing. Bill 26-127. I won't read the entire title, but it's the closing of a public alley in Square 5624. It was introduced on February 14th of this year by Councilmember Henderson. The stated purpose of this bill is to order the closing of a portion of an unimproved alley in Square 5624, bounded by Ridge Place, Southeast, R Street, and R Street, and to allow Lee Montessori Public Charter School to create additional play space for its students on the land. The next bill is Bill 26-160, entitled Closing of a Cul-de-sac and Dedication of Land for Alley Purposes in Square 4350, introduced on February 28th of this year by Councilmember Parker. The stated purpose of this bill is to order the closing of Douglas Street, Northeast cul-de-sac, abutting Square 4350, and to dedicate a portion of Lot 6 in Square 4350, bounded by 25th Place, Bladensburg Road, Northeast, for public alley purposes to facilitate the redesign of the Washington Metropolitan Transit Authority's Bladensburg Bus Garage. The next bill is Bill 26-166, entitled Closing of a Public Alley in Square 2068. It's introduced on March 4th of this year by Councilmember Fruman. The stated purpose is to order the closing of a 15-foot wide L-shaped portion of the public alley system in Square 2068, bounded by Connecticut Avenue, Ordway Street, 30th Street, and Porter Street, Northwest, to facilitate the consolidation of lots and construction of a 3-story residential building. And the next bill is Bill 26-216, entitled Closing of the Former Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge Right-of-Way in Square 708, introduced on March 28th of this year. Says it was introduced by me. Interesting. And the stated purpose is to order the closing of a right-of-way of the former Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge on Lot 817 in Square 708 to facilitate a PUD modification for construction of Phase 2 of the marina along the Anacostia River at the former Florida Rock site. It's not really closing the bridge, but land that formerly was part of the former bridge. I believe those are all of the measures that are the subject of this hearing. Let me do a quick check. We tend to take these namings or designations and bunch them together for one hearing, and we tend to do that twice a year. So that's why there's so many for this hearing. The testimony should be organized in the order of these measures, and the record in this matter will close at 5 p.m. on July 13th, which I believe is 10 days from now. At least I think that's what it is. At any rate, anybody who wishes to submit a statement or testimony, whether they're here or not, has until 5 p.m. on July 13th to do so. There are several other council members who are here. I'll recognize Councilmember Fruman first, since he's here in person.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I wonder if I can hold off on an opening statement till we get to the bill that is the most relevant to me, and then I will chime in at that point. Is that okay?
I want to say you wish, but yes, that's okay.
Thank you.
Councilmember Robert White, you're here online.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Today, we honor the son, a native son of Washington, D.C., whose figurative footsteps left imprints not just on the dance floor, but in the culture of D.C. Marvin Slush Gross was more than a dancer. He started a movement and left a permanent impression on D.C. culture. He gave a new and unique rhythm to the city with a dance now known across D.C. and beyond, Beat Your Feet. Slush was a creative visionary who added a new ornament to our go-go culture and connected young people in our city to a sense of place, pride, and power. From school hallways to international stages, his signature moves inspire joy, identity, and connection. His city and his family lost Slush too soon. I had the honor of meeting his sister, who spoke to me and the community passionately about the brother she loved and admired, not for his celebrity, but because he was her brother. And she rightly asked the city to recognize and memorialize Slush for his contributions to the culture. And I was honored to do my small part to make that happen in introducing this resolution. Because even though his life was tragically cut short in 2002, Slush's spirit never stopped moving. His spirit is alive in every Beach of Feet battle and in every young person who still finds a voice in this motion that we learned from Slush. Today, by naming a portion of Sumner Road Southeast in his honor, we affirm that the legacy of DC's people are worth remembering, worth lifting, and worth celebrating. Marvin Slush Gross Way will be a reminder that the culture of this city doesn't come from outside investment or policy papers. It comes from our people, from our artists, our dancers, our dreamers, people like Slush. So, to his family, friends, and the many dancers and residents who carry his memory forward, I want to say thank you. And I will hope that we will pass this resolution so that the city can honor Slush's contribution to our city in a permanent and visible way. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councilmember White. And if you could share that statement with us, it would be helpful for us to have that for the committee report. Councilmember Felder, do you wish to make a statement?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for holding this public hearing today. I want to thank all the public witnesses and neighbors who came out to testify in support of B 26-220, the Elmore Friendship Court Act of 2025. Today is a special and exciting day for me because this is a hearing on the first piece of legislation that I've introduced as the Ward 7 council member. Since taking office, I've committed myself to introducing and advocating for laws that have a real and meaningful impact on the people of Ward 7. And I truly believe this bill does just that. Now, at first glance, some might think this is just a regular street naming, but I want to be clear. It's so much more than that. This legislation not only opens the door to important public utility access for residents, it also honors the history, families, and community spirit that helped shape Hill East. Before serving on the council, I was the chair of Advisory Neighborhood Commission 7D, and during my time there, we passed a resolution asking the council to name the public alley system in Square 1084 Elmore Friendship Court. So to be here today, no longer as a commissioner, but as the Ward 7 council member, seeing this idea move forward is truly a full circle moment, and I feel both honored and grateful. Now, for those wondering how we landed on the name Elmore Friendship Court, I want to take a moment to explain. The first part, Elmore honors Mr. Morgan Elmore and his family, a longtime resident of the block. Mr. Elmore owned a local upholstery business and was very active in the community. He and his wife, Mrs. Eva Elmore, have since passed on, but with this naming, their legacy will continue to live on the very neighborhood they helped build. The second part, Friendship Court, came directly from the voices of residents. Folks felt that this name reflected the many friendships, connections, and memories that were made in that alley space over the years. It wasn't just an alley, it was a place where neighbors gathered, kids played, and bonds were formed. So you put it all together, Elmore Friendship Court, it tells a story of Black entrepreneurship, of family roots, and of a tight-knit community spirit right here in Hill East. With that, Mr. Chairman, I look forward to hearing from our residents today and working with this committee to move this legislation forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Felder. With that, let's start with the different measures. And the order here is not only the order of the bills as I read them, but also we will have the government witnesses or witness testify at the end of the hearing. And those witnesses will testify with regard to many, maybe even all of the different measures. So the first bill is Bill 26-120, Congress Cove Court Designation Act of 2025. We have one witness, Manny Higogwana. I believe he's participating virtually. He's here, right? Yes.
Hello,
Please proceed, and good morning.
good morning, Chairman Mendelson. Thank you for having me on. All right, you can see me and hear me clearly.
Yes.
Thank you for this. I just wanted to testify for Congress Cove Court Designation Act of 2025. My name is Manny Igwe, and I am the developer behind the project. I am with Cube Partners developing the single-family homes that face the alley, which today is a paper alley. And we are building this alley to serve those single-family home units. My testimony here, this project, as I submitted, is more than just buildings and infrastructure. It is about cultivating a place that reflects the values, aspirations, and identity of the community. The name Congress Cove Court was selected to reflect civic pride and the spirit of belonging. It conveys a sense of place rooted in democratic ideals, collaboration, and thoughtful development. From the beginning, we prioritized meaningful community engagement. We worked very closely with the local advisory neighborhood commission, attending public meetings, listening to feedback, and taking all of that incorporated into the design and overall vision of the project. The support of the ANC was very instrumental, and we view them as a critical partner in ensuring this development contributes positively to the surrounding neighborhood. Whether it was ensuring the development aligns with the neighborhood's scale, character, addressing local concerns around affordability, the ANC's involvement helped shape a stronger and more responsive project. So we're pretty excited for that. And, the naming as well is one of those items that came out of the discussions that we had. It is a name the community can feel ownership of, a name that will be a part of local memory and daily life. This development itself reflects the district's goals for smart growth, walkable communities, and inclusive housing. It offers not only quality homes, but also connectivity that enhances the urban fabric. So I respectfully urge the council to adopt the Congress Cove Court Designation Act of 2025. We are proud to be contributing to the city's future and grateful for the opportunity to do so in partnership with local residents and district leadership. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. So I do have a few questions for you, and you are the only witness on this bill. You said this was a paper alley. It's an official alley, but it's unimproved, correct?
That's correct. So we are improving this part of our development.
And you said this is to develop some homes. How many homes?
There are 5 single-family homes proposed at the site.
Of 5 single-family homes, detached or row houses?
They're row houses.
And what's your timing for this?
So right now we are going through, once this naming convention is passed, we are completing our dedication and we can begin the permitting process. This and the dedication sort of held us from proceeding with permitting, which typically takes around, call it 4 to 6 months to get things through, and we can start construction shortly thereafter. So based on that sort of high level schedule I just delivered here, we anticipate construction starting in sometime in 2026.
And it was your testimony that the ANC is supportive.
The ANC has been extremely supportive of this project.
And do you know if there are any objections from any government agencies?
To date, there has not been any. We've worked very closely with all the agencies, addressed concerns, and as part of a BZA process that we went through, addressed other concerns and got that approved. So we've been working very well with the agencies as well.
So you did go through the Board of Zoning Adjustment?
Correct.
And you said the permitting process you think will take 4 to 6 months.
That's my estimate, Chairman.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Sometimes things take longer than they should.
That-
I'll
That's right.
emphasize longer than they should. So your designs are ready at this point.
That's correct.
Give me a second. Oh, yes. The way is built, the bill is written, it would designate the public alley system as Congress Cove Court. Do you need the entire system or just a portion of the, I'm not sure what it is. I'm going to say the portion of the alley that runs northeast to southwest.
I think I would need the entire system. So it's, once again, our goal here is to make it connected. So you want, whether it's a resident or a visitor or just anyone around there coming off of 4th Street before they hit Atlantic to be able to see a sign that directs folks into Congress Cove Court. So
Well, I'm looking at a plat, and the plat, so there are 2 entrances off of 4th Street. And it looks like each of them is 15 feet wide. There are 2. And the,
correct.
one of them is L-shaped and the other is, what do I say, transects the entire square. So you want all of it, including the L-shaped part?
That's correct.
I'm looking at you. Okay. All right. Any other questions? I don't think I have any other questions. Our staff knows how to reach you, correct?
And they do. I've been in touch.
Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. We may need some back and forth with you. But in any event, thank you very
Happy to.
much. I have no other questions for you. So you're excused if you want to be. Give me just a second. The next bill is Bill 26-139, Gallery Court Designation Act. My understanding is that the applicant has given us a lot of information. This is an official naming, and we will get testimony from the government with regard to this. But we do not have anyone in person or online today. The third measure is 26-165, Judith E. Human Memorial Bridge Designation Act of 2025. And I have 2 witnesses. Let me call them and then I'll recognize Councilmember Fruman. Adam Prinzo, who's Commissioner with ANC 3CO2, and Bob Ward. I don't know if they're here or online. And Mr. Fruman, you want to speak?
I'll speak in response to that.
Okay, so let's see who's here. Commissioner Prinzo, you're first.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Good morning, Chairman Mendelson and Councilmember Fruman. My name is Adam Prinzo. I am the Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner for 3CO2, representing Western Woodley Park. I'm speaking to you today as on behalf of ANC 3C, authorized by ANC 3C Resolution 2023-005, to express our strong support for Bill 26-0165, the Judith E. Human Memorial Bridge Act of 2025. Judy was a global leader in the disability rights movement, helping to shape landmark legislation such as the Americans with Disabilities Act and serving in senior roles in both the district and federal government, and as well as at the international level. But beyond her global impact, Judy was a beloved member of our neighborhoods. She lived in the Kennedy Warren for more than 30 years, and the bridge over Klingle Valley was part of her daily life, connecting her to friends, her community, and the city that she helped shape. Our commission unanimously passed a resolution 2 years ago suggesting this name change because this bridge is more than a crossing. It symbolizes Judy's fight for access and inclusion, as well as her deep ties to our community. Renaming this bridge in her honor would be a visible, lasting tribute to her legacy and the values we strive to uphold as a city. We respectfully urge the council to move this, and we thank you for your service to the district.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we have a copy of the ANC resolution or your statement? Why don't you resubmit them?
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, it's important that we have that.
Okay.
And you said the commission adopted a resolution? And
Yes,
so you're speaking on behalf of the commission.
correct.
And Bob Ward, I think, is not here. And Councilmember Fruman?
Thank you very much, Chairman Mendelson. Thank you very much, Commissioner Prinzo. This is a great day. Thank you so much to the ANC and to the community, including the folks at the Kennedy Warren, Ms. Cafiaro, who had this idea, and the ANC who took the lead. You know, almost as soon as Judy Heumann had passed away, people thought we should do something to honor her, and this place as the place to do so is perfect. And she lived at the foot of this bridge. She was a global leader on disability rights. She was the first director of our disability rights office here in the District of Columbia. She made a huge difference on behalf of communities that had been badly marginalized, bringing dignity and equality to millions. And she was embedded in this community as evidenced by the fact that the community itself came up with the idea that we should do this naming. The bridge is actually turning into a gathering place, and the idea that we would name the bridge in her honor really fits in the moment that we're in. Often people are going out onto that bridge to try to express the importance of inclusion in a difficult time in our country. And the idea that we would pivot to have the bridge named after Judy Heumann, who is a global leader for inclusion, is altogether fitting. I am very excited to get this done, and I'm very excited for ribbon cutting when we can celebrate Judy's life and all of the things that she stood for. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Look forward to getting this done.
Thank you, Councilmember Fruman. And I have no questions for the commissioner or for you. Not that I would. And again, if the commissioner could submit the statement in the ANC's resolution, we will turn to the next measure, which is Bill 26-166. No, I'm sorry, misspoke. Bill 26-220, Elmore Friendship Court Act of 2025. We have 4 witnesses. Janet McIntosh, Jeffrey Keel, Amy DePoe or Dabbit, and Linda Elmore. What's that? If I called your name and you're here, yeah, you're no longer allowed to sit in the audience. You have to come to the table. And then is one of the witnesses online? Okay, Miss Elmore, if you can hear me, I believe you're online. You need to accept so that we can let you in to participate virtually. So I have listed here first Janet McIntosh. Good morning.
Good morning. If I may please the council, thank you for having us here this morning in your service to the district. Collectively, we're over 200-year DC residents here at the table. Engaged and very excited as also a Ward 7 resident to be here for the naming of the Elmore Friendship Court Northeast. I don't have direct contact, however, have spoken with the daughter who will testify in front of us. And we here obviously all on behalf of the Elmore family as well as the homeowner, Amy DePoe, a resident of Ward 7 who does need to have the alley officially named in order to obtain a street address, as Member Felder mentioned, to have utilities to further improve our community in this area. It is a carriage house in the back, which will obviously start, hopefully, and continue the community aspect of the alley here. We have heard that, and I have proof here this morning as well, that Morgan B. Elmore and Eva Lee Elmore took title to 1615 A Street Northeast on the 21st day of August in the year 1956, which by my math, and they still own this home for 69 years on the ward, which they may be the longest owning resident in this square, and I think very deserving of this designation. And I am slightly sad to report that the owner of the home, who was the eloquent speaker and spoke very highly of her family's longtime residency on the square, which, as mentioned earlier, her father did have an upholstery enterprise located in the alley, and I'm a big fan of upholsterers. With that said, we did hear from several people that, and I also hang out in my alley too, just a couple blocks away, that this really is the gathering place for residents and to keep and foster the sentiments of our 16th and A Street community and the family and friendships that may have been cultivated first by the Elmores, making this alley a gathering place. We would encourage the council to support the naming of this alley network to further serve the community and foster these relationships and support the forever legacy in memorializing this familiar area, welcoming the space of the past into the future here with the Elmore Friendship Court naming. And hopefully that will promote community pride, ownership, and a shared sense of identity, not only for the legacy of the Elmore family, but for all of us in our community here. So thank you very much for considering the street naming here.
Thank you, Ms. McIntosh. Mr. Keel?
Good morning, council members.
Turn off your microphone.
Pardon?
You're good. Could you turn off your microphone? Thank you.
Good morning again. As a longtime builder on the Hill, it's Kyle Construction, and I think we met previously, in fact. I must say that the process by which we convert alley dwellings is way too arduous. It's a stated policy of the Bowser administration to make these ADUs more available. And it's just been a torturous process to get this alley naming, and the whole permitting process is just so difficult. It's a steep hill to climb. So as a builder, I just want to mention that, and I'm hoping that we can prevail and get this building converted to a residence, which is our long-term goal.
Thank you. And Miss, is it DePoe?
Dapo, very
Dapo.
close. I'm Amy Dapo. I'm the owner of the alley dwelling. I bought it in 2019 with the intention of converting the long vacant property into a home. It's a two-story dwelling. It's never had water or utilities to it. So, kind of starting from scratch. I think the only thing that's ever lived in there is maybe some horses back in the day. So I hired Kyle Construction to work with an architect, create some plans for the two-story single-family dwelling. So this is just part of the process of getting there. So we've worked with the ANC and also all the families that back up to the alley to try to make it a place that the community will appreciate, having a new home on the alley instead of the vacant property that it is today, abandoned property. So, thank you for your consideration.
Sure, thank you. I have a statement from you and from Mr. Kyle. Oh, wait a minute. But I don't have one from you, Ms. McIntosh. Where? Oh,
I uploaded one, but I'm happy to re-upload it again.
hold on a second. I guess I'm confused because it starts out here on behalf of Amy Dapo.
Yes, sir.
Got it. Okay. And I didn't call Miss Elmore. Miss Elmore, are you able to participate?
I'm having technical difficulties.
Well, we can hear you. So why don't you proceed?
Oh, okay. Sorry. Good morning to everyone. I am the daughter of Morgan Elmore, as noted, was the founder and owner of Elmore's Upholstery Shop. It's located at 1615 A Street Northeast. More factually, was behind the house in the garage that faced the alley. My father learned to be a posterer in a job training program and then went on to open his shop. He utilized a number of the garages in that area. Back in the day, the shop was a gathering place with my father working, and customers or anyone who interested would want to stop in and watch him busy cutting fabric or stitching new chairs. It was just a little area, a little small community. He had the gift of gab and befriended so many people. Some days there were no work, but he would sit in that shop and he would talk to anyone that would come and listen. We shared many things. We were a community. Nothing went on in that little alleyway that my father did not know about. But that was the strong sense of community that we had. My father passed away at the age of 95 in July of 2022. His biggest supporter and cheerleader was my sister Teresa, and she passed away this year. Even now, when family and friends stop by the house, they remember and share all the experiences of those times. That little alleyway was a community. We formed it. Family bonds were strengthened, and friendships were forever forged. What a legacy it would be for our family if this could be. We call that we call that garage on the other side of the barn, but I now know it's a carriage house. And no disrespect, but that's what we called it as a child. But I thank you all. If this honor is to be presented and delivered to my father, we would be truly moved and blessed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miss Elmore. So I do have a few questions. Ms. Dapo, I don't think I have a statement from you. Did you submit a written statement?
I didn't submit a statement.
Yes, I uploaded it.
Ms. Elmore, I have yours. Now I was speaking to Ms. Stapo. Okay, well, if you do have a written statement, if you could give that to us.
Yeah.
And let me see. The plat that I have shows just a portion of the alley. It would be officially named. And it's the portion of the alley that runs off of 17th Street and then connects with the portion that runs off of East Capitol. That sound correct? And has the ANC looked at this? And what position is, you turn your microphone on if you would. And what,
Yes.
the ANC, did they adopt a resolution?
Yes, they support the project. Yeah.
Okay, we have a copy. We do, okay. And you notified all the neighbors in the square?
Yes.
And they're all okay?
Yes. Yeah. They've all contributed to the naming of the alley.
Okay. The proposed name is Elmore Friendship, so Elmore I get, Morgan Elmore Friendship?
The friendship was suggested by one of the neighbors on the alley, and supported by multiple, just because they've enjoyed the friendships that they've created in that alley as neighbors. And particularly, some of them cited the time during COVID that they kind of were able to gather there safely and enjoy each other's company. So it's been an area that people have created lasting friendships. So that's where the friendship part comes from.
Okay. And the sole purpose of this official naming is so that you can get the permits to have an or so you can get the address, you can get the permits, and so you can improve that carriage house
Correct, to bring water specifically.
for living purposes.
Yes,
Yeah.
water and sewer, yeah.
Let me just see, do I have any other questions? No, I don't have any other questions for y'all. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, Councilmember Felder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of questions that I have. And I'll start off with Ms. Elmore. Ms. Elmore, you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Your sister, who since passed away, was a huge advocate for this street naming. She spoke very highly of your family's legacy. And I just wanted to hear from you. Could you provide me with one of your favorite memories of your father's business or folks gathering in the alley coming up?
My father, he had the gift of gab, and we gathered in that alley. We referred to the house as A Street. We're going on A Street.
Mhm.
But back before that alley was paved, it was just plain old mud. And folks would come far and wide to play, play horseshoes.
Mhm.
It was a gathering place because we were bound on one side by the church, so we kept it holy. And you came up in that alley, you came in peace and friendship and love. And I remember playing horseshoes. When he wasn't working in the shop, he was pitching horseshoes. And that's where my sister got her love. So it's, mhm.
I'm sorry, Ms. Elmore.
No, it's just a very loving community, and friendly place. And I'm 74 years old. As you said, my dad was in that house for over 70 some years. And we are the last of the original family, heads of households from 1956 until now.
I love it. Just my last question. You speak about being one of the last families on that block. Could you speak to what this street naming means to you personally?
Personally, it keeps the memory of that house and that time and our family and the community. It keeps it alive. It keeps it in my heart. My father and mother bought that house, and they brought up their sisters and brothers, and some of them even moved next door in the apartment. So it is about legacy. It is about community. It is about families bond and strengthening and keeping that alive. Sometimes, lots of people left that area, but my dad stayed.
I appreciate you, Ms. Elmore. Thank you for those responses. Ms. McIntosh, thank you for your advocacy and support for this project. My staff told me that they've been in touch with you, working to make this happen. Just a question for you. Could you speak to the impact of this name into this alley? I know you mentioned you live a couple blocks away. What do you think this would mean for the community?
I'm always so proud to be part of things like this, We're all so busy, everything's happening to us all so fast right now, and not everything that we can control. When we can give back and memorialize something like this, and I'm a real estate guru. Real estate is my life, so to be part of something and realize how this may impact this family, and I work every day to make people's dreams come true. And I hope that I can help this family have a little piece of that dream come true for them. So I think and it also gives neighbors and other people in the area believe that things like this can come true too for them, and that they should keep their dreams alive. And, I can imagine I was an artist too, painting in my backyard, painting fences when we were in COVID, and how that really does bring people together. Pick a paintbrush, and she was playing horseshoes. Amy was saying the last thing in this property were horses. So I think it's, as a professional in this industry, this is what makes me tick. This is what makes me get up every day to do my job and help people to achieve their dreams of homeownership and keeping this family's dream alive, and that they've owned this residence for so long. It's deserving of this naming today. So it means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilmember Felder. I don't have any other questions for you all. Thank you all very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Turn to the next bill, which is Bill 26-222, entitled Alfred Dudley Senior Way Designation Act of 2025. This is a symbolic designation of the 2900 block of Mills Avenue Northeast. We do not have a witness here today, so I'm going to move on to the next one, which is Bill 26-234, Henry E. Baker Alley Designation Act of 2025. This had been introduced by Councilmember Nadeau. We have one witness listed, Alexandra Wilson, so partner at Sullivan and Barrows. I believe she's participating virtually. Ms. Wilson, when you're ready.
Great. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. Good morning, Chair and members of the council. My name is Alex Wilson from Sullivan and Barrows, and I'm here on behalf of DC Urban Improvement, the owner of Lot 813 in Square 2857. The ownership team was unavailable today to testify, but they've submitted written testimony, and the team is made up of a few owners who live on the block. Both the bill and the record provide more detailed information about Henry E. Baker, but in summary, he was a pioneering African-American patent examiner at the Patent Office who documented the contributions of Black inventors in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He played a key role in preserving the legacy of these inventors by compiling a historic list of hundreds of Black patent holders, many of whom had been overlooked or unrecognized. The naming is supported by the community and the ANC, and we've obtained both the ANC's resolution in support and the petition in support from the majority of the residents. Both of those should be in the record. As you may know, an alley cannot be developed without an address and cannot be given an address without the alley being named. Therefore, in addition to honoring Mr. Baker, this naming will allow for a new single-family home on Lot 813. In terms of the project timeline, this is in permitting with DOB, and the owners anticipate that permits will be issued about 4 months after getting an address. And I believe Commissioner Easley, who is the SMD, tried to sign up to testify, but was unable to find the link. I was trying to help him before I hopped on, but he asked that if he's unable to get on, I relay his support and note the ANC's resolution in support. Oh, before I end, I'd also like to give an extra thanks to Councilmember Nadeau and her staff for all of their help through this process. Thank you all for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ms. Wilson. So this is an official naming, and the purpose is to acquire an address so that this lot, I believe it's 813, can be developed. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And I believe the alley, I remember my streets. The alley runs north-south between Harvard and Girard.
That is correct. Let me pull this up too. Yes, and then between 10th and 11th.
The block is between.
Or
10th
11th and Sherman, apologies.
Yeah, the block is between 11th and Sherman, but the alley is just a north-south alley.
Correct, between Harvard and Girard.
Yeah. And we do have the bill, the ANC's support. The commissioner had a statement. He should give us a copy of the statement. If he had a statement, you said he was trying to get on.
Yes, I'll let him know to submit that.
Give me just a second. Ms. Wilson, the timing, is there an urgency here? I can't hear you. You're muted.
Apologies. It's currently been submitted for permitting to DOB. And this is one of the items that needs to be completed prior to obtaining the address and receiving the permits.
So if we take this up September 15th, which is when we come back from recess, that would be okay?
Yes, that would be perfectly fine. Thank you.
I don't have any other questions for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will turn to Bill 26-242, Marvin Slush Ghost Way Designation Act of 2025. This bill was introduced by Councilmember Robert White, joined by others on May 5th. And I have one witness, Tarhisha Locks. Be online. Tarhisha Locks. I believe this is a symbolic designation. So we'll move on then. Bill 26-248, Philip Reed Memorial Park Designation Act of 2025. Jeremiah Montague. Nice to see someone in person. And it's nice to see you.
I made a special effort to come down here and do this.
Well, I want it to be worth your while.
I have submitted written testimony, and because of the length of time, I'm going to summarize the beginning. I come before you to present on behalf of the community members and neighbors in the matters that are relating to the effort to commemorate Philip Reed, born between 1820 and 1892. This effort, in this time of effort where efforts to erase contributions of African Americans that have returned to this nation's very existence, is deeply gratifying that the council has taken steps to permanently memorialize a long departed community member and his contributions to the nation, the building of the Capitol, and other noteworthy artifacts commonly associated with Mr. Clark Mills, but not singularly occurring at his hand. As background, born a slave in 1820 in Charleston, South Carolina, Reed became chattel in a wedding dowry at the age of 19, as demanded by Mr. Mills' father-in-law, so that he could marry Eliza Ballantyne. Mills, a runaway himself, upon arriving from New Orleans, purchased Reed. Known for his quickness of mind and physical ability and recognizing his potential, he made an apprentice plasterer. Reed accompanied Mills to Washington to work on Washington City in the 1840s, supervising the furnace at Mills' studio, but also accompanied him on his various business dealings, searching for work. Providence came to Reed for when the original sculptor of the Statue of Freedom to adorn the U.S. Capitol demanded additional funds to complete the work. Congress denied those funds. Reed analyzed and disassembled the plaster cast on display for Congress. He oversaw the transportation to the furnace in the county. There he supervised the casting and the return of the 19-foot 6-inch bronze statue to the Capitol. Why this matters. Born Philip Reed, he changed his name to Born Philip Reed, R-E-I-D, changed his name to R-E-E-D after his emancipation in 1862 under the District of Columbia Compensated Emancipation Act of 1862. This voided the former wedding codicil, thus freeing him of his entanglement. Nevertheless, Reed continued to work with Mills until the completion of the Statue of Freedom. Reed lacked the ability to read. Nevertheless, his curiosity, mechanical prowess, and physical ability allowed him to endure and rise above his circumstances. Although credited for completing the work, Reed did not attend the installation. He married on that day, later taking residence in Southwest Washington City. He became a well-regarded plasterer in his own right. Reed was not alone on the Mills estate. With him were 10 other enslaved. At the time of the emancipation, there were the Howard family, Letty, Tilly, Tom, Alec, Jackson, George, and Emily. The Thomas family, Levi and his wife, Rachel, as well as Ann Ross, acquired through marriage to Eliza. Historically, the proposed park is adjacent to the former property in the area known as Avalon Heights from 1887 at its southwest edge, now part of Greater Woodridge. Upon his death in 1892, Reed could not receive burial near his former enslaver and subsequently suffered 2 disinterments. One laid rest at Columbia Harmony, then finally resting at the National Harmony Memorial Park in Landover, Maryland. The proposed park is that of excess land, Reservation 313 at Bladensburg Road, 28th Street Northeast, and Douglas Street. Like neighboring subdivisions, these were subject to strict covenants since 1870s, preventing non-white ownership or residence until the 1960s. It is a proper testament to memorialize the former enslaved people upon land where they were once held in bondage, but denied opportunities for ownership or receiving recognition beyond being property. We note that the federal clerks at the time of emancipation assessed each a value of $300, with Mills claiming $1,500 for Reed. With this act, we are rightfully lifting silent voices. Reed and those with him will no longer be ghosts relegated to denied past. We will force newcomers to think more critically before attempting to reimagine the community in their image. It will cause older residents to ask, what more do we not know, or what we were never told about the community's past? As a community, we rejoice with this acknowledgement. With much appreciation, look forward to having more within our community and uplifting commemoration as a testament to resilience of African Americans, memorializing significant contributions wherever they occur in our community, and providing a beacon to those who follow, proving that past injustices need not be hidden, sublined, or denied, just like the chains at the foot of the Statue of Liberty to lessen the shame. Thank you.
Give me just a second. Let me see. My understanding is that the way the bill was introduced, the citation is, the code citation suggests this would be an official name, but the introductory statement from Councilmember Parker says it would be symbolic. Do you know? Symbolic or official?
I'm not sure.
Okay, that's all right. And this is a small triangle park
Yes,
that is off of Bladensburg at Douglas.
at 28th and Douglas.
And I think I detected an irony in your testimony that this land at one point was, had covenants on it that the land could not be owned by an African American.
As did most of the area of Woodridge.
Yeah.
But that in particular.
Yeah.
Reed was enslaved on a property next, which was the Mills Estate called Meadowbrook Farm. And so therefore, since the bus garage is on that property now, we couldn't put a memorial inside the bus garage. So this was the most likely candidate closest to where the furnace was and where these enslaved people lived.
Now, Reed was a slave to Mr. Mills,
Yes, to Clark Mills,
but Mills was
a runaway from New York.
so he was African American.
No, he was white.
Oh, okay.
His father died, and then he was given to his uncle. His uncle abused him. He escaped to New Orleans, and then later he went to Charleston, South Carolina.
And then became a slaveholder.
Yes.
Okay, so I misunderstood that term, runaway. You see, do you know who has jurisdiction over this park? Is it DDOT or is it?
It would be DDOT now. I think it's been transferred to the District of Columbia.
All right, we'll double check that. Do I have any other questions? I don't think so. Your testimony is quite comprehensive. Thank you for that.
I try to be on point.
Thank you. Let me see. I have no other questions. Thank you. You're
Thank you.
excused. And thank you for being here in person. Next is, we're getting into the alley closings now. Bill 26-127, closing of a public alley in Square 5624, SO 17-21054, Act of 2025. I have three witnesses who are not government: Simon Rodberg, LaJoy Johnson Law, and Meredith Moldenhauer. Who do we have here? Let's start with Mr. Rodberg.
Good morning, Chairman Mendelson. My name is Simon Rodberg, and I'm the Executive Director of Lee Montessori Public Charter Schools, as well as a DC resident for more than 20 years. Thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of this bill. Lee Montessori opened its East End campus with a clear purpose: to provide students in Wards 7 and 8 with access to a high-quality, anti-bias, anti-racist Montessori education. To expand access and accommodate our growing school community, we undertook a major renovation and addition project, which was completed in the summer of 2024. The result is a U-shaped school building that surrounds a large open space in the center of the campus. Once fully enrolled, we expect to serve approximately 305 students. Within the open area in the center of the campus sits a 12-foot wide paper alley. It is not paved, it is not used for access, and leads to no other right-of-way, yet it remains legally designated as public property. Because of that, we are limited in how we can use land that is otherwise entirely enclosed within our school grounds. Our vision for this space is simple. We want to build a safe, unified outdoor environment that supports learning, movement, and community. The alley divides that space and creates a barrier to that vision. Closing it will allow us to make the most of our campus for the benefit of our students. We have engaged our Advisory Neighborhood Commission, which voted unanimously on Tuesday evening to support this alley closure. I am pleased to be constructing a more positive relationship with our neighborhood community, given the challenges this school site has had in the past. I am eager to support other efforts as well on behalf of our neighborhood and our neighbors. Similarly, I'm grateful that LaJoy Johnson Law, the State Board of Education member for Ward 8, is joining today to testify. Our Land Use Counsel, Meredith Moldenhauer, is also present, and she can speak in more detail about the application and the underlying legal framework. This bill represents an opportunity to remove an obstacle that serves no public purpose and to unlock meaningful benefits for children and families. Our parents and board of directors are aware of and in support of this bill, and several of them have submitted testimony. On behalf of the Lee Montessori community, I thank you for your time and respectfully ask for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Redberg. I may have a question for you. We'll see LaJoy Johnson Law.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I'm in the car because I just did a community walk with Savoy. So I'm sitting outside Savoy. So sorry if you hear noises and stuff in the background. Can I begin?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. Good morning. Still morning, right? Yes. Good morning. My name is LaJoy Johnson Law, and I'm honored to serve as the Ward 8 representative on the DC State Board of Education. I'm submitting this testimony in strong support of B26-0127, the closing of a public alley in Square 5625 behind Lee Montessori's East End campus. I am also standing in the gap on behalf of Ward 8 families, students, and educators, especially in this moment when Ward 8 does not currently have a seated council member. I have submitted pictures also in my testimony, and I just want everyone to know, like, this is not an alley. Like, it is really green space that is sitting in the middle of the school, and even also like behind the homes. I can also send more pictures. I actually need to amend my testimony, but there is no alley. There's like this green space that's in the middle of the school, and then there's another area behind the homes that sit directly next to it. And honestly, it's just trash and debris everywhere. And then it kind of like goes off like on like some type of hill situation. And so this is just not an alley, and we really need to adjust this. So anyway, it's unused green space. Again, Lee Montessori has already like fenced off the areas, so that way you can tell which belongs to the school and which doesn't. There's no like through access. There's no road access. There's no public utility access like on this parcel. Like you can't do anything with this land right now as it is. And so I think this is an opportunity for us to really like reimagine outdoor learning and outdoor play to really have so that the Lee Montessori children really have an opportunity to have adequate outdoor space. Right now they're in the front of the school, kind of like in this area, and Simon can correct me on this, maybe like to the left. And it's like this little nook. That's not outdoor space, that's not outdoor play, that's not outdoor learning. And Lee Montessori has a Montessori model. Research states that, you know, with nature and outdoor play and outdoor learning, it improves focus, it reduces stress, and also stronger academic performance. And so in closing, I really urge the council to approve this. Honestly, this is a simple administrative action that I think will have a profound and lasting impact for the kids of Ward 8 and the Lee Montessori family. And I do just publicly want to say thank you to Councilmember Henderson for putting this forth, especially in the absence of a council member. And so we thank you all for hearing us today. I can stay for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson-Law. And Ms. Moldenhauer.
Good morning, Chairman Mendelson and members of the committee. My name is Meredith Moldenhauer. I serve as Land Use Counsel for Lee Montessori Public Charter School. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today regarding Bill 26-127. Pursuant to the DC Code 9202.1, the council may approve the closing of an alley that is determined to be unnecessary for alley purposes. That is precisely the case here today. As you've heard, the alley subject to this request is a 12-foot unimproved public alley located entirely on the interior of the Lee Montessori East Campus. The alley is not paved and is not used for vehicular or pedestrian access and has never functioned as part of the city's transportation network. As such, the alley is not needed for circulation or access by the public, adjacent property owners, or district agencies. Instead, the alley cuts through the center of the unified campus and prevents effective use of the center courtyard space, creating a recent expansion of the school. Closing the alley would allow the school to safely and thoughtfully use the space for outdoor programming and support the students' development. Lee Montessori has engaged with the community and does have ANC 8A's vote in support of an 8-0 unanimous vote in support of the alley closure application. We understand that some neighbors had raised concern relating to the prior owner, Eagle Academy Public Charter School, which we believe have been resolved under the new ownership of Lee Montessori. Lee Montessori remains committed to working and engaging with local residents to address any inquiries that may come up and continues to have a positive relationship with the community. I'd also like to bring to your attention that a condition identified by the DC Department of Transportation in their report. DDOT proposes a condition requiring Lee Montessori to exchange a portion of their private property for a public access to R Street. This condition was negotiated between DDOT and the school's predecessor, Eagle Academy, but was never disclosed to or agreed upon by Lee Montessori. In fact, Lee Montessori only became aware of this proposed condition upon receiving the DDOT report on June 24th. The timing and nature of this request presents significant and unanticipated financial burdens to the school, which have already been given that the construction has already been completed and did not incorporate this intended potential consent to an easement. Given these facts, we respectfully request the council approve the alley closing without imposing the DDOT easement condition. In accordance with DC Code 9202.01, the review process for the alley closure is limited to determine whether the right-of-way is necessary for public use, and in this case, it is not. The testimony emphasizes the alley's lack of utility of a public circulation and the ability to incorporate it into a cohesive school campus. For those reasons, we ask that the council support this application without imposing the additional condition. I'm available for any questions the council may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moldenhauer. There's always a wrinkle. So I'm looking at the plat. I think the plat looks pretty cool with that new stub to be dedicated to R Street. And you're saying that that's a condition that the school does not want. The school, maybe this is to Mr. Rodberg. So the school is U-shaped at this point?
That's correct, yes.
And the part of the U that is on the R Street side of the block, does that go all the way down to the land that DDOT says it wants dedicated?
Yes. There's a shared driveway. The property line runs down the middle of a driveway between us and the next door neighbor. So that the neighbor uses that driveway on a daily basis, and we have access to it as needed as well.
If it's a driveway, why can't that be just dedicated as an alley?
Because it's not actually our property. It's like it's split between us and the neighbor. And I know enough about this to answer that level of question, but I should probably defer to Ms. Moldenhauer for some more land use specifics of the law.
Okay, and of course, the plat I have doesn't really depict this, so help me. Ms. Moldenhauer?
Yes, Chairman Mendelson, the current driveway is on the abutting property owner's lands. It's not on Lee Montessori's property. The proposal by DDOT was to create another 16-foot wide easement on Lee Montessori's property, but because it was not part of the building permit process, that would create challenges because they've already developed the building, and that would actually impose and go into the rear alley or the rear lot line requirements for the building.
So the proposed alley is unimproved at this point, meaning the building isn't on it. But you're saying that open space is necessary for zoning requirements.
Correct.
Interesting. So the plat that I'm looking at, the existing alley is 12 feet wide, and it is existing and paved up to the Lee Montessori lot line?
No, it is not. It is only paved up to about 3 homes away on our street from Lee Montessori. So starting about 3 houses down on our street, the paved portion of the alley ends, and then you have shrubs, trees, grass that go then all the way up into the area that we're proposing to close.
And may I also add, there's no exit at that side from the alley. There's, the easement doesn't replace a current exit at the Lee Montessori side. There's no current sort of way to get out from that alley at all.
Interesting. So the ANC testified the ANC voted in support.
Yes, sir.
And I don't think we have a copy of their resolution.
Not yet. It was only on Tuesday night, but they're
Oh,
preparing
okay,
it.
so it was very recently. And this building, you've been in this building only a short while?
I personally have been in the building for 2 years. Lee Montessori has been there since 2020, and then we completed the U of the building. It's the U-shaped building. It was sort of L-shaped. We completed the U on last summer.
Okay, because I thought I heard that Eagle Academy had been there before?
Eagle Academy built the original building, yes.
This is the same Eagle Academy that closed?
The very same Eagle Academy, yes,
But
sir.
they weren't in this building when they
They
closed?
never inhabited this building. Lee Montessori first rented, then bought it from Eagle before Eagle closed. And I think part of the, original, as Ms. Moldenhauer said, Eagle Academy is not an organization that I would want to represent. And that includes part of aspects of the original construction process. So we've tried to do better since we moved in.
Give me a second. So if we, I assume we're going to go forward with this, but I'll phrase it this way. If we were to approve this, I'm looking at the pictures that Ms. Johnson Law provided. The fence would come down and this would all be just open space used for like play area or whatever for the school.
We would still fence it so the children couldn't get out, right? We're talking about small children here. But the fence that's in the middle that blocks the use of the full area would come down. We would still fence it like at the property line.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I don't have any other questions at this time. We'll see what DDOT says when they testify. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have a good one.
We will turn now to Bill 26-160, closing of a cul-de-sac and dedication of land for alley purposes in Square 4350, SO 22-05506, Act of 2025, introduced by Councilmember Parker. I have a number of witnesses. Looks like they know who they are. Carolyn Brown with the Brown Law Firm, Maya Nino with WMATA, Sean Pratt listed as project manager, Andy Imroth, senior supervising architect, and Adam Kranak, landscape architect. Let's see, I just called off 5 people. I see, oh, there are 2 online and 3 in person. That works. Okay. Ms. Brown?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Chairman Mendelson and members of the committee. Again, Carolyn Brown with the Brown Law Firm. I'm legal counsel for WMATA for this street closing application. Thank you for the opportunity to present this to you. As part of the application, WMATA will be dedicating a public access easement, and it's not a public alley as originally contemplated. And this is what was negotiated with DDOT to allow for future efficient truck turning movement at the end of Douglas Street. As you'll hear from our witnesses, this project and the resulting street closing application is the result of years of planning with district agencies and ongoing dialogue with DDOT in an effort to modernize the Bladensburg bus garage while ensuring continuing vehicular access for adjacent industrial uses. The subject cul-de-sac is located on the 2600 to 2800 block of Douglas Street Northeast, bounded by 28th Street to the east. As confirmed by the applicant's consultant Timmons, which you'll hear from today, the newly proposed access easement will replace the function of the existing cul-de-sac and facilitate 3-point vehicular turning movements. The application satisfies all requirements of the Street and Alley Closing Act of DC Code 9-202. The closing of this portion of the cul-de-sac will allow for the reconfigured and reconstructed Bladensburg bus garage necessary to meet increased operational demand and environmental improvements to meet WMATA's long-term planning goals consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. The proposed public access easement will ensure continuing truck access to the adjacent property, including Northeast Iron Works. With me today are Maya Nino, WMATA's Director of Bus Facility Deliveries, Sean Pratt, the Project Manager for WMATA, and we will also have, as you mentioned, remotely, Mr. Andrew Imroth to discuss the plans for the bus garage, and Adam Kranak from Timmons to explain the turning diagrams. The application's pre-hearing statement provides additional information on the project and its compliance with the street closing standards. With that, I'd like to introduce Maya Nino of WMATA.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. And good morning, Chairman Mendelson, members of the council, and members of the public. My name is Maya Nino, and I serve as the Director of Bus Facilities Delivery at Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority, or Metro. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today in support of Bill number 26-0160, which proposes the closure of the portion of Douglas Street Northeast, west of 28th Street. This requested street closure is essential to advance Metro's mission of enhancing regional mobility, sustainability, and service reliability. The street segment at issue, the cul-de-sac, no longer serves the public street system and is not needed for vehicular or pedestrian circulations. The proposed closure directly supports Metro's ongoing Bladensburg Bus Garage reconstruction project, a critical capital initiative designed to modernize the authority's oldest and most heavily used facility in the region. This upgrade will enable Metro to accommodate an expanded fleet, including the transition to zero-emission buses, improve employee amenities, and support superior and uninterrupted bus operations throughout the district and the region. Metro has worked closely with the district agencies and neighboring businesses, including Northeast Ironworks, to ensure continued truck access through a dedicated public access easement designed for 62-foot wheelbase vehicles. This reflects our commitment to balanced planning and operational continuity. The project aligns with the district comprehensive plan and longstanding goals for modernizing infrastructure and supporting industrial uses. We are committed to being good neighbors and ensuring the investments benefits both Metro riders and the surrounding community. We appreciate your consideration of the bill and look forward to working together to deliver a new, a modern, sustainable, and efficient bus facility for the region. Metro respectfully requests favorable consideration of the bill number 26-0160 to facilitate the essential infrastructure project that will benefit both transit users and the broader community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nino. Sean Pratt?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. My name is Sean Pratt. I am the project manager. I'd like to share some background on the Bladensburg Bus Garage facility and WMATA's goals for the modernization and reconstruction thereof. First built in 1962, the Bladensburg Bus Garage sits on 17.59 acres bounded by Bladensburg Road Northeast, 25th Place Northeast, Douglas Street Northeast, and a CSX Railroad right-of-way. For its first 4 years of operation, the Bladensburg bus property was a series of unconsolidated lots and squares. In 1966, WMATA consolidated these various properties into a single property square, 4350 lot 006. To support this consolidation, the DC Office of the Surveyor closed those portions of 26th North Street Northeast and Douglas Street Northeast that were contained within the larger property. Douglas Street Northeast was redesigned to terminate into a cul-de-sac that would allow for U-turns. Primary access to and from the facility has been from Bladensburg Road via a gate at the intersection of the now closed 26th Street Northeast. Today, Bladensburg Bus Garage facility is a linchpin of WMATA's bus operations, providing much-needed transportation services to Metro customers on routes throughout the entire District of Columbia and parts of Maryland. It is one of WMATA's oldest assets, home to some 260 buses and support vehicles and 500 employees. As part of our efforts to better serve our customers and communities, WMATA is invested in modernization of this critical facility. The reconstruction will achieve three primary goals. It will consolidate three existing buildings into one modern, environmentally friendly bus maintenance and operations facility. The project will provide spaces for up to 290 Metro buses and a multi-level parking garage for 440 employee vehicles. And it will provide capability for electric charging stations for zero bus emissions. The modernization will incorporate resource-efficient and emissions-reducing elements such as solar panels, rainwater harvesting system for bus wash, and electric charging stations for employees. The multi-level parking structure should significantly reduce the demand for on-street parking in the surrounding neighborhood by providing sufficient on-site parking for Metro's 440 employees, and thereby removing those employees from competition for the limited on-street parking, reducing the stress on the streets surrounding the facility. To enable the project, WMATA is proposing to close a portion of Douglas Street that encroaches onto lot 4350 and replace it with a public access easement across the WMATA property that will allow for a three-point vehicular turning movement. Said easement will be owned and maintained by WMATA with public use granted by public access easement. In support of the proposal, WMATA has acquired 4 properties to the northeast of Bladensburg site and will reconfigure these properties to allow for installation of the new access easement. WMATA initiated Bladensburg Bus Garage modernization roughly 5 years ago. In the intervening time, we have met and addressed all the concerns of the applicable agencies. We have met with ANC 5C and the local community at quarterly outreach meetings to first introduce the project and then update the project status. We have also met with the Office of Ward 5 Councilman Zachary Park to explain the purpose and need of the application. Particular attention has been given to our neighbour at 2632 Douglas Street in order to ensure their operational needs are accommodated by the redesign. We look forward to answering any questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Imroth.
Hello, my name is Andy Imroth, and I'm an architect at WSP. My team was responsible for developing the design concepts for the modernization and redevelopment of the Bladensburg Bus Garage. Our design team was charged with introducing electric bus infrastructure necessary to meet WMATA's zero-emission bus transition plan, increasing the facility capacity from 260 buses to 290 buses, and increasing employee parking on site from 100 to 440 spaces. This last measure was in response to neighborhood concerns that WMATA staff parking was on the streets and creating issues within the neighborhood. As part of our preliminary design efforts, our team determined that relocating the drive from the 26th Street location to the Channing Street Northeast intersection would facilitate improved circulation, create a more efficient design with additional storage space for the increased number of buses and employee cars. These findings were corroborated by DDOT's planning group in their large track review letter. In order to relocate the drive to the north of the facility, our team proposed the closure of the Douglas Street Northeast cul-de-sac. This will allow for construction of a straight drive aisle that provides bus vehicles with clear and efficient access to the westmost corner of the property. Simultaneously, this measure will minimize bus queuing at the entry-exit gate. For perspective, not only is the size of WMATA's bus fleet increasing, so are the sizes of individual buses, both articulated and non-articulated. These two competing demands mean that the Bladensburg Bus Garage facility requires additional real estate to fulfill its operational goals. The Bladensburg property is constrained to the south by 25th Street, 25th Place Northeast, and to the east by Bladensburg Road. To the west, it's constrained by the CSX right-of-way. This leaves the only area for growth to the north of the property. To that end, WMATA has acquired the 4 properties to the northeast of the property, bounded by the Douglas Street Northeast 28th Street and Bladensburg Road. WMATA is in the process of consolidating these properties into one single lot and square. These properties will be used to accommodate the proposed access easements for vehicular turning movements and house BEB charging equipment. A traffic impact analysis was conducted in August of 2020 and concluded that the redesign would result in no adverse impacts to the overall transportation network. The analysis recommends a new signal at the Channing Street Northeast intersection, and that the alleyway on the south side of the east leg of the intersection be restricted to right turn only to reduce vehicle conflicts and reduce pedestrianized crossing times. DDOT has voiced support for this solution as a corridor improvement during the large track review process administered by the Office of Planning and the Public Space Committee hearing. In summary, the closure of the Douglas Street cul-de-sac and the relocation of the primary facility entrance to the intersection of Channing Street Northeast will result in a more capacious and efficient facility with better access and shorter queue times for bus ingress and egress. We support this design solution and are available to field any questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Imroth. Mr. Kranek.
Yes, good morning. My name is Adam Kranek. I'm a professional landscape architect here at Timmons Group. I'm here today to share background of the redesign of Douglas Street cul-de-sac. Cul-de-sac in question is located on the 2600 to 2800 block of Douglas Street Northeast, bounded by 28th Street Northeast to the east. My team worked closely with the Department of Transportation for 3 full years between 2021 and 2023 to develop a redesign that meets the guidelines set forth by the Planning, Policy, and Sustainability Administration. We underwent the VDOT preliminary design review meeting, Public Space Committee hearing, and the Office of Planning large tract review process. The design process was a balancing act navigating between competing interests, those of DDOT, PPSA, and those of the adjacent neighbor at 2632 Douglas Street Northeast Ironworks. In summary, DDOT pressed for a redesign that would restrict the vehicle turning to an intermediate semi-trailer with a wheelbase of 40 feet. Northeast Ironworks was adamant that their business requires access by vehicles as large as a double-bottom semi-trailer with a wheelbase of 62 feet. Ultimately, DDOT agreed and approved a design that accommodates a WV62 vehicle. This compromise required the construction of a demountable curb the elimination of street parking on the south side of 2600, 2800 block of Douglas Street in an alley mouth of 40 feet in width and a dedication of a public access easement. Ultimately, we have developed a compromise solution that meets the needs of the adjacent property owners and addresses DDOT's design criteria to the maximum extent possible. We welcome any feedback and questions from council at the end of this presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Koenig. So I think I do have a couple of questions. To WMATA, whoever, WMATA, so right now there are 260 buses and 500 employees.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Right now there are 260 buses and 500 employees.
Approximately, yes, that's correct.
And the plan is for 290 buses, that's 30 more, and 440 employees?
Correct.
So fewer employees.
No, there's actually more employees. The multi-story parking garage that we're going to build has 440 employee parking spaces. The employees work 24 hours, so there will be almost 600 employees on the new facility.
All right, I was just looking at the bottom of page 4 of your statement that said providing sufficient on-site parking for Metro's 440 employees, but that's inaccurate.
No, there's parking space of 440. There's more employees than that, but they work in shifts, so the maximum number at one time is less than 440.
Okay. I'll just reiterate, the statement says providing sufficient on-site parking for Metro's 440 employees. And
Oh, yes, sorry, there's more than 440. Yeah,
Employee vehicles.
yeah, it means employee, there's, in the parking garage, there's
Okay.
440 spaces.
That's an awful lot of parking for, I mean, that's almost 1 for 1.
Yeah, we have a lot of fleet vehicles like police, MPD, non-revenue vehicles, and it's multi-story. It's 2 layers, so it's approximately 220 spaces per level. And there's bus parking underneath, so there's no bus space lost on the ground level. There's bus parking, and then 2 levels of employee parking and non-revenue vehicles.
Mr. Chairman, I think that one of our remote witnesses has an answer that you might be looking for
Great.
regarding why the ratio is so high.
That would be great.
Okay.
Who is it?
I don't know if it's Mr. Kranek or Andy that can address that, and if they don't, I'll tell you the answer myself.
Well, I'll come off mute here. I think that the answer from my perspective is the shift change. You're going to need more spaces available so that the employees can get in, park, and actually get on site so that they're actually able to be on site and get their job started. So there is a little bit of overlap between the shifts, and that overlap creates a need for more parking spaces. That's my understanding as a designer.
Ms. Brown?
And I also understand that public transportation is not as robust during the night shift, so that puts the demand on parking spaces for the employees.
Okay, and then there's non-employee parking there as well.
It's non-revenue.
Non-revenue.
So like fleet vehicles, MPD.
Mhm.
And one of the concerns with the existing facility is the employees parking on the local streets. So one of the main, we wanted to provide enough parking space to avoid impact on the local residents with employees parking on the local streets.
Sure. Ms. Nino, were you going to add something?
No, I apologize. I just want to say MTPD as well is going to be occupying part of that space, and they will have their own vehicles as well. to be parked in addition to the
That's
operators.
Metropolitan Police Department.
Yes.
So I would like better understanding of what's happening with Northeast Ironworks. So I'm looking at a plat. It looks like land to the, I never know directions. Looks like land to the west of lots 4 and 3 is being dedicated as a easement.
That is correct. Public
that-
access easement on WMATA property.
And that is to help Northeast Ironworks?
Specifically, yes. They, in the turning diagrams that are attached as Exhibit C to our statement of the applicant, they demonstrate how the 62-foot wheelbase truck can do a 3-point turn and access the Northeast Ironworks facility on the top part of the diagram.
So Northeast Ironworks is like lot 802?
I believe that's correct. Let me just double turn to the right exhibit. That's correct.
And if my directions are right, lot 802 is on the north side of Douglas Street. And this easement is on the south side of Douglas Street. And that's all to accommodate the turns.
Yes. So, and I suppose either, well, I can try to explain it to you, but if we go to the turning diagram at Exhibit C, a truck would pull, actually, why don't we have either Mr.
I can-
Imroth describe it? I believe he has the information on it.
This is Adam Kraniak. I can try to help explain.
Great.
So I take it you're looking at the exhibit with the 3 truck movements. So the movement on the left side of the sheet, the purple line that shows the truck, that is a truck heading east on Douglas Street to the end of that, to the end of Douglas Street, and it will make a left into this alleyway or this dedicated easement, the yellow shaded area. Okay, it'll pull forward and stop there at the end of that easement. And then the middle diagram in green shows that truck making a backing movement and into a driveway that Northeast Ironworks has. So they can they back into that driveway and offload their material. On the graphic on the right, the other purple line, that is the truck is backed into Northeast Ironworks, and this represents a forward movement for them to exit from their driveway and then going back west on Douglas Street.
Okay, and so that's how it gets to be three points.
Yes.
And Northeast Ironworks is satisfied with this?
To our knowledge, yes. We have not, they requested for the 62-foot wheelbase. This accommodates that. I'm sure that it may not be their desired cul-de-sac configuration, but it certainly accommodates their needs for the 62-foot wheelbase truck. And we have not heard otherwise from them.
And the advantage to WMATA in closing portion of closing the cul-de-sac is that then there's more land area gained for.
It's to have a drive aisle entrance along that side and accommodate the greater number of the 30 additional bus spaces. Mr. Chairman, you can see that on Exhibit B to our statement, the site plan. And at the bottom of the drawing, you will see the little easement area. And just above that is the drive aisle that we're discussing. The entrance is to the left in that drawing. And so that's where the access is for the buses and able to get into this parking spaces.
Did I hear something about a mountable, demountable curb?
Yes, sir. In order to accommodate the truck, instead of having a curb, it's rolled curbs so that the truck will be able to mount it
Okay,
and roll over it.
so that was what that was in reference to. Let me just double check whether I have any other questions. What's the timeline for all this happening?
So currently, if the proposal's approved, the project would be under construction in that area sometime in the middle of next year, so approximately 12 months from now. But we're going through permit application process and that at this present time.
So you said all the work starts after the council approves this, or there's already work that's begun?
Yeah, no, any work to that area would be after the council approves it.
Okay.
Can I add?
Yes.
The project right now, it's in two phases. We are building in phase one, which is on between 25th and 26th Street in Bladensburg. That's a maintenance building. Once that's complete, which is going to be complete in July, we're going to transition and move over to the phase two, where that would be impacted. I just want to clarify because I know everyone's aware there's a construction on that site.
So phase one will be completed this month,
Yes, July.
and then phase two starts.
We have a transition period, and then we have to do some work, get the permits. We have to do some archaeological studies as well in there. We hope to start in March of next year.
Okay, thank you. The next measure is Bill 26-166, closing of a public alley in Square 2068, SO 25-01801, Act of 2025. This was introduced by Councilmember Fruman in March, and yeah, this is the alley closing in the area of Porter and Quebec, I think it was. I don't have a plat. I have three witnesses, Jay Bowes, Bob Ward, Jeff Utz. Any of them present? I have a note here, the applicant is not ready today, and so we'll have to reschedule a hearing for this. The next measure is Bill 26-216, entitled Closing a Former Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge Right-of-Way on Lot 817 in Square 708, SO 23-05325, Act of 2025. And I have two public witnesses. I've got David DeVilliers, President and COO of Florida Rock Properties, and Lee Templin with Goulston and Stores on behalf of Florida Rock.
Yes, thank you. And I believe we have a presentation to pull up.
You should be able to share, or we shared, or something.
I'm happy to share unless I'm not sure if I have the capability.
Green button at the bottom.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. Are you able to see that?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, Chair Mendelson, members of the committee and staff. My name is Lee Templin of Goulston and Stores, and I'm legal counsel for the applicant, Florida Rock Properties, Inc. Thank you for the opportunity to present this application to close the right-of-way located on Lot 817 in Square 708. This application is unusual in that this right-of-way is located entirely on private property and is not an official street. In 1945, the property owner at the time granted to DDOT a right-of-way easement over the property for the construction, operation, and maintenance of the original Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge. The right-of-way was never dedicated as a street, but it was inventoried by DDOT as a public street based on the 1945 easement. After construction of the new Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge, the easement was no longer necessary as a right-of-way. In 2023, the applicant and DDOT recorded an easement release agreement that extinguished the right-of-way easement. This release ended public use of the property. As shown on this slide, the right-of-way has already been removed on the district's GIS map. The Office of the Surveyor has agreed to record a plat removing the right-of-way from DDOT's roadway inventory. The plat shown here is with the applicant's property outlined in red. Lot 817 is the dashed line area. DDOT has taken the position that the plat should not be recorded until the council approves the legal closing of the right-of-way. Thus, we are here today for approval of its official closing so that the plat removing the right-of-way can be recorded and the right-of-way removed from DDOT's inventory. As shown on this plat, the majority of the land for the Old Bridge Approach area owned by the district was dedicated for street purposes for the South Capitol Corridor as reported in November 2022. Lot 817 outlined in blue was not dedicated. The application meets the legal standard for closing a right-of-way, which is whether it is unnecessary for street or alley purposes. The portion of land to be removed is fully on private property, and the applicant and DDOT already recorded a release of the easement, which officially ended public use of the property. The right-of-way cannot be used for street or alley purposes as it is located entirely on private property and therefore is unnecessary for those purposes. The property that is the subject of the application is part of the approved Riverfront PUD. Most recently, the Zoning Commission approved in ZC case number 04-14H, a second stage PUD for phases 3 and 4 of the PUD for 2 residential buildings, one with ground floor retail. The PUD incorporates substantial public open space with the public dog park in between the buildings and extensive hardscaping and landscaping to activate the waterfront. Because the right-of-way is on private property and is not a public street, this application does not require the typical review by district agencies. The right-of-way is not necessary for alley or other transportation and can be closed without disrupting vehicular access to any property. Nevertheless, the applicant has worked closely with DDOT to effectuate the official removal of the right-of-way and undertook extensive community outreach throughout the PUD process. OP, DDOT, and the ANCs were all supportive of the second stage PUD. In summary, on behalf of the applicant, we request approval of the closure of the right-of-way on Lot 817 in Square 708. The application satisfies the standard that it be unnecessary for street or alley purposes. The right-of-way is located entirely on private property and is not necessary for parking, loading, or other through traffic. Therefore, the closing results in no adverse impacts on the transportation network. Again, we are here today at the request of DDOT so that the right-of-way can be removed from DDOT's inventory. Thank you for the opportunity to present, and both myself and David DeVilliers, a representative of the applicant, are available for any questions.
So you're the only statement, Mr. de Villiers is not testifying?
Correct. Mr. de Villiers is here if any questions arise.
Okay, give me just a second. I'm just trying to figure out if I have any questions. I do have questions, but they may not be for you. I think you said about 8 times that this is entirely private property.
Correct.
So this is like totally weird because it was an easement, not a dedicated right of way, but we're being asked to close it as if it's a dedicated right of way. Let me be clear. I have no intention that the council would get in the way here. There's a question in my mind how government agencies are facilitating private property owners facilitating, the word that comes to mind is growth when it comes up with hurdles like this. I just think I don't have any questions. So thank you. You might want to stick around for questions that I ask of the executive.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
We will see.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's turn to the government witnesses. Brant Miller, Manager, Policy and Legislative Affairs Division, District Department of Transportation, and Ramon Labrador, Deputy Surveyor of the District of Columbia Department of Buildings. Before either of you speak, Mr. Labrador, I'm just curious. The whole design of the approach on the west side of the river for the South Capitol Street Bridge has changed dramatically since the bridge was built, the new bridge was built. We have this oval, which I guess is called a stadia. I don't know why that's the term, but apparently that's the term for that kind of oval. Are there plats recorded in this fair's office for that?
Are we talking about the,
We're not talking about the Florida Rock. We're talking about near it. So it's literally tangential to this hearing, but that's what I'm asking about, the oval. On the oval that is on the west side of the Frederick Douglass Bridge.
if there's any plats recorded around that area?
Yes.
I would have to get back to you on that and confirm what we have around there recorded in the office.
Okay. I do want you to get back.
Absolutely.
All right. Give me a second here. I've managed to disorganize myself entirely here. Mr. Miller, you just have one statement, right? Which covers all the bills?
Yes, one very long statement. Yes.
Yes, because I think, Mr. Labrador, I have several statements from you, one for each bill. So when we get to you, I'm going to have to sort myself. Why don't you begin, Mr. Miller?
Certainly. Good morning, Chairman Mendelson, members of the council, staff, and district residents. My name is Brant Miller, Manager of Policy and Legislative Affairs at the District Department of Transportation, commonly referred to as DDOT. I am here today to present testimony on behalf of Mayor Muriel Bowser and DDOT Director Sharon Kirschbaum regarding the following bills. Bill 26120, Congress Cove Court Designation Act of 2025. Bill 26139, Gallery Court Designation Act of 2025. Bill 26165, the Judith E. Heumann Memorial Bridge Designation Act of 2025. Bill 26220, Elmore Friendship Court Act of 2025. Bill 26222, Alfred Dudley Senior Way Designation Act of 2025. Bill 26234, Henry E. Baker Alley Designation Act of 2025. Bill 26242, Marvin Slush Gross Way Designation Act of 2025. Bill 26127, Closing of a Public Alley in Square 5624, Surveyor's Order 1721054, Act of 2025. Bill 26160, Closing of a Cul-de-sac and Dedication of Land for Alley Purposes in Square 4350, Surveyor's Order 2205506, Act of 2025. And Bill 26216, Closing of the former Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge right-of-way on Lot 817 in Square 708, Surveyor's Order 2305325, Act of 2025.
Before you go further.
Yes.
So you left out, for this hearing, Bill 26-248, Philip Reed Memorial Park.
Correct.
And I think you also left out Bill 26-166, Closing of a Public Alley in Square 2068, which is, I think, the one we had no witnesses.
Correct.
Give me just a second.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. The stated purpose of Bill 26120 is to officially designate the public alley system within Square 6153, lots 84 and 85, located at 3929 to 3931 4th Street Southeast, close to the intersection of 4th Street Southeast and Atlantic Street Southeast, as Congress Cove Court. For visualization purposes, I have attached to this testimony a copy of the plat of the designated alley system. In fiscal terms, the cost of each installed sign for this designation is approximately $460, $65 for sign fabrication, $270 for the installation of a pole, and $125 for sign installation. Sufficient signage requires one sign and one pole, totaling $460. The stated purpose of Bill 26139 is to officially designate the public alley system bounded by 3rd Street Northeast, K Street Northeast, 4th Street Northeast, and I Street Northeast in Ward 6 as Gallery Court. For visualization purposes, I have attached a copy of the plat of the designated alley system. Sufficient signage requires 2 signs and 2 poles, totaling $920. The stated purpose of Bill 26165 is to officially designate the bridge on Connecticut Avenue Northwest, located between Devonshire Place Northwest and Macomb Street Northwest, as the Judith E. Heumann Memorial Bridge. For visualization purposes, I have attached a copy of the plat of the designated bridge. Sufficient signage requires 4 signs totaling $740. The stated purpose of Bill 26220 is to officially designate the public alley system within Square 1084 as Elmore Friendship Court. For visualization purposes, I have attached a copy of the plat of the designated alley system. Sufficient signage requires 2 signs totaling $380. The stated purpose of Bill 26222 is to symbolically designate the 2900 block of Mills Avenue Northeast in Ward 5 as Alfred Dudley Senior Way. For visualization purposes, I have attached to this testimony a copy of a DDOT generated map highlighting the relevant block of the 2900 block of Mills Avenue Northeast. Sufficient signage requires 3 signs totaling $570. The stated purpose of Bill 26234 is to officially designate the alley within Square 2857, bounded by Harvard Street Northwest, Sherman Avenue Northwest, and Girard Street Northwest and 11th Street Northwest in Ward 1 as Henry E. Baker Alley. For visualization purposes, I have attached a copy of the plat of the designated alley system. Sufficient signage requires 2 signs and 2 poles totaling $920. The stated purpose of Bill 26242 is to symbolically designate Sumner Road Southeast in Ward 8 as Marvin Slush Gross Way. For visualization purposes, I have attached to this testimony a copy of a DDOT generated map highlighting the designated alley system. Sufficient signage requires 2 signs totaling $370. The total cost for sufficient signage, including poles for these bills, is $4,360. DDOT can absorb the cost of these signs and poles within its current budget and does not foresee any operational impact on the district's transportation network. Therefore, the administration has no objection to these street, alley, and bridge namings. DDOT stands ready to assist the council and all other stakeholders with any ceremonial unveiling activities that may materialize as a result of these bills being passed. The stated purpose of Bill 26127 is to order the closing of a 12-foot wide unimproved public alley in Square 5624 in Ward 8. As outlined in the surveyor's order report filed by DDOT with the DC surveyor on July 14, 2017, a supplemental report filed on August 11, 2017, and a second supplemental report filed on October 13, 2017, the agency maintains its condition that the alley closure not be finalized until the public access easement covering the driveway connection between Ridge Place and the remaining public alley is recorded. The stated purpose of Bill 26160 is to close a cul-de-sac in Square 4350, abutting Lot 0006 and bounded by Douglas Street Northeast, and dedicate a portion of Lot 0006 for public alley purposes in Ward 5. DDOT has been working closely with the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority, or WMATA, on this project for several years, and we've determined that a public access easement rather than an alley dedication would better serve this area and the community's need. As outlined in the surveyor's order report filed by DDOT with the DC surveyor on September 13th, 2024, and a supplemental report filed on December 20th, 2024, DDOT objects to the closing, recommending instead that the closure plat not be recorded until WMATA enters into and records a public access easement agreement with DDOT. This easement has been signed by both parties, but has yet to be recorded. Additionally, as DDOT outlined in a letter to Chairman Mendelson on July 14, 2023, we worked successfully with WMATA to make important changes to the planned configuration of Douglas Street to accommodate wider vehicle clearance and access for neighbors. WMATA's actions up to this point have satisfied DDOT's conditions, and we look forward to working with them as this project moves forward. The stated purpose of Bill 26216 is to order the closing of the former Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge right-of-way on Lot 817 in Square 708 in Southeast Washington, D.C. in Ward 8. DDOT has been working closely with the applicant and the Office of the Surveyor to ensure that this closure can be recorded once the bill is passed as a part of the final stages of the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge project. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to testify before you today. I am available to answer any questions that you may have.
Give me a second. Mr. Labrador, give me a second here. When you're ready, why don't you proceed?
Good morning. I'm going to be first speaking on the Bill 26127, closing a public alley in Square 5624, SO number 17-21054. Good morning. Chairman Mendelson, members and staff of the Committee of the Whole. I am Ramon Labrador. I'm the interim surveyor for the District of Columbia. I work in the Office of the Surveyor at the Department of Buildings. I appear before you today to provide testimony on said bill, the closing of a public alley in Square 5624, Act of 2025. The purpose of this bill is to close a portion of an unimproved alley in Square 5624, abutting lots 166 and 145, bounded by Rich Place Southeast and R Street Southeast. This closing will facilitate development. The alley to be closed is shown on a subdivision plat dated September 28, 2018, and recorded in subdivision book 214, page 136 in the records of the Office of the Surveyor. The Office of the Surveyor notified the relevant executive branch agencies on February 8, 2017. The District Department of Transportation submitted an objection on October 9, 2017. No other agency within the executive branch expressed any objections. The utility companies were notified of this application on February 8, 2017 also. The utility companies and DC Water have no objections. Pursuant to DC Official Code Title 9, Section 202.02, subsection 3, the Surveyor's Office notified the National Capital Planning Commission of the application, and in a letter dated April 7th, 2014, NCPC found that the proposed alley closing in Square 5624 would not be inconsistent with the comprehensive plan for the National Capital, nor would it affect any other identified federal interest. Then also pursuant to DC Official Code Title 9, Section 202.02, subsection 5, Advisory Neighborhood Commission 8A was notified of these applications on February 8th, 2017. No response was received from the ANC. Pursuant to DC Official Code Title 9, Section 202.02, subsection 6, the abutting property owners were notified of the closing. This concludes my testimony about this bill, and I appreciate the opportunity. And if you have any questions right now, you can let me know.
Why don't you do the next two statements and then we'll.
Okay. Right, now we're gonna go on bill number 260160, closing of a former Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge approach right-of-way in Square 708, SO number 23-05325, Act of 2025. The purpose of this bill is to effectuate the legal closing of a portion of the former Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge approach right-of-way easement on lot 817 in Square 708. The right-of-way was originally created in 1945 by agreement recorded with the Recorder of Deeds as an easement over private property. The land subject to the easement was never dedicated to the district and has remained private property with the easement for right-of-way use. As part of the District Department of Transportation South Capitol Street Corridor Project, most of the former bridge approach was incorporated into public use through recorded dedication plats in November of 2022. However, a small portion known as Lot 817 remained subject to the 1945 easement. An easement release agreement has been recorded to extinguish that easement, ending public use of the property. This bill authorizes the recording of a closing plat to officially remove this right-of-way from DDOT's inventory of streets and the district surface maps, ensuring consistency in the public record and supporting the objectives of the South Capitol Corridor redevelopment. DDOT requested this council approval to ensure a formal and transparent process. Notice of this proposed closure was posted, and affidavits of postings were filed with the council and the Office of the Surveyor. The Surveyor's Office coordinated with the applicant, their legal representative, and DDOT to prepare and finalize the draft plat to align with the bill language. Upon council approval, the plat will be officially recorded to conclude the right-of-way removal process. This concludes my testimony for this bill, and I will proceed with Bill 260160, closing of the cul-de-sac and dedication of land for alley purposes in Square 4350, SO 22-05506, Act of 2025. The purpose of this bill 26-160 is to close a portion of Douglas Street Northeast, abutting Lot 6, and the establishment of a public use easement over part of Lot 3 and part of Lot 6, all in Square 4350. This closing and dedication will facilitate development. The Office of the Surveyor notified the relevant executive branch agencies in August 26, 2022, and on November 5th, 2024. DDOT formally objected to this application until the conditions specified on its letter of December 20th, 2024. No other agency within the executive branch expressed any objections. The utility companies were notified of this application on August 26, 2022, and on November 5th, 2024. In a letter dated January 6, 2025, PEPCO granted approval subject to the following condition. The applicant must collaborate with PEPCO Distribution Engineering to resolve any conflicts between proposed public easement area and existing PEPCO overhead distribution infrastructure. The Office of the Surveyor did not receive comments from Solid Waste. The other utility companies and DC Water have no objections. Pursuant to DC Official Code Title 9, 202.02, subsection 3, the Surveyor's Office notified the NCPC of this application on August 26, 2022, and on November 5th, 2024. In a letter dated December 12, 2023, NCPC found that the proposed project falls under Exception 8 listed in Chapter 8. Exceptions and project changes on NCPC submission guidelines. Pursuant to DC Official Code Title 9, Section 202.02, subsection 5, Advisory Neighborhood Commission 8C was notified of these applications on August 26, 2022, and on November 5th, 2024. No comments have been received from the ANC. Pursuant to DC Official Code Title 9, Section 202.02, subsection 6, the abutting property owners were notified of the closing. This concludes my testimony. I appreciate the opportunity to appear before you today and welcome any comments you may have regarding this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. So let me see if I can work my way through this. There are advantages and disadvantages to having 10 or 12 bills as part of one hearing. With regard to Cove Court, Mr. Miller, I think I asked this question when we had the testimony. I'm looking at the plat. The plat designates only a portion of the alley system. I think whoever testified, I think whoever was testifying said they thought it was going to be the entire system. Trying to remember now how is it that we have a plat that's just a part?
I think that the plat was generated to reflect the language in the bill, which specifies that it's for the system within a certain square, within certain lots located near certain addresses close to the intersection of 4th Street. So due to the specificity of the language of the bill, our assumption was that it was for just a portion of the alley that ended at the L-shape leg. However, if the bill is intended to be for the entire alley system, we can update the plat to reflect that.
So DDOT is okay if it's the entire system?
Correct, yes.
My note here is either is okay. But if it is the entire system, then there'll need to be more signs.
That is correct, yes.
A second one off of Fourth and one off of Atlantic.
Yes, there are
And-
3 entrances that way, yes.
Yes, I think your testimony contemplated one sign.
Correct, yes.
So 3 signs would be okay. Give me a second. I'm looking at Gallery Court. I think you said 2 signs. There's a through alley between I and K, but the alley system includes, I'll say, 2 stubs that are to the east side and west side. Wouldn't it make sense to just name the whole thing, the whole system, on the theory that anybody who goes there is going to think it's the entire system anyway?
Yes.
And would any additional signs be required?
It would depend on the, I'm looking at the plat, which doesn't show me exactly the configuration of the alley. If we name the entire alley, I don't think there would be a problem. And if there is room for signs, we can certainly install them. I don't think that would be a problem either. There may be a utility pole in the alley that we could attach one to. Sometimes we can't install a pole due to like the turning radius. It looks like this alley's pretty narrow, but we can install signs if we need to in the future. And we don't have an issue with naming the entire alley system.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that it's not looking for additional signs. Just the public would probably think if they're in there that the whole thing is Gallery Court.
Right.
Yeah, we're thinking maybe do all of it. I have the same question with regard to Elmore Friendship Court. Elmore Friendship Court, yes.
About expanding it throughout the entire alley system?
Yeah.
I don't know of any issue there. I will say that going back to Congress Cove, I know that part of that alley system is actually unimproved. I think it might be a paper alley. I think there might not even be an entrance to it at the southern side of that, I think is what it is. So I said 3 signs earlier. We agreed these signs would be appropriate for 3 entrances. I think that there's actually not an improved entrance for that alley. So I don't know what the case is for this one either, but yes, I agree. I don't think there's an issue naming the entire system. And if there are entrances, we can install signs there for Elmore Friendship.
Yes, okay. I don't know if we're going to do that, but if nothing else, maybe the north-south portion.
Right, that feeds into A Street.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what we will do during the summer. Oh, no, this one we may try to do in 2 weeks. So if you could,
If you need any updated plats, please just let us know and we can generate those next week with our colleagues in DOB.
okay. Okay, so at any rate, this one has a little bit more urgency. We'll sort out whether it's all or not. Um, For Mills, you said 3 signs.
Just one moment, please.
I see the intersection with Hamlin.
Oh, sorry, which one is this for?
I said Mills, 26-222, Alfred Dudley.
Dudley.
It's Mills Avenue.
Yes.
So you said 3 signs.
Yes.
Why 3?
I think that there's one on either end and there may be a mid-block sign as there's a cul-de-sac, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
the cul-de-sac looks like it has 2.
2 signs?
It looks like
2 entrances?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that we were going off of where there are existing poles for this one, if I'm not mistaken. This is for Alfred. Yeah, so 3 signs and no poles. So I'm assuming that there's a pole at the one entrance of the cul-de-sac, but perhaps not the other. But we can add a fourth, another pole and sign if that's necessary. Typically for the symbolic ones, we just do it based on where there's already a sign for the existing street.
Okay. For Marvin Slush Gross. I've misplaced something. Oh, that's because I skipped some. For Marvin Slush Gross, that's Sumner Road between Frith Sterling and I'm not sure what that street is. Looks like that's more than 2 signs.
I think that there are, sorry, one second. I think that there's a sign on the street on one end of, on each end of the street, but not in the middle where there's an alley. Sorry. Trying to confirm which street this is. So this is, I believe, Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue is the
So wouldn't there be a sign
at Wade?
MLK at Wade and at Frith Sterling?
Let me confirm. Sorry, just one moment. I just want to look at the map. 1, 2, 3. Yes, there may be a third. Yes, there's a sign at Wade, and then there's a sign at, let me confirm, there's a sign at MLK, just to, it may be that there isn't a sign. There's a sign at MLK. Let me see if there's one at the end of the other end of the block. I think sometimes when they turn into the odd, okay. So our most recent data for the end of the block is that there may not be a sign there, but we'll confirm and add one if necessary. I think there may not be an existing pole, as it looks like this area has been under construction for some time. So
So it's two because there are two poles.
Correct. There's two existing signs for Sumner, one at Wade and one at MLK. I don't think that there is one today at Firth Sterling. But if there needs to be a sign there for Sumner, we can also add one for the symbolic.
And you, in your statement, you said designated alley system, but I think you meant street system.
Yes.
Okay, with regard to Bill 26-127, all right, this is going to be fun. So, Mr. Labrador, I was a little confused. Your statement said the alley to be closed is shown on a subdivision plat dated September 28th, 2018. That's 7 years ago. And then you said that the agencies were notified in February 2017. Is that a typo, or was there a plat, a new later plat subdivision plat recorded?
Yes.
Microphone.
Yes, it seems like this area was subdivided after this application came in. So it had a different configuration, like it was not originally done under lot 166.
I'm sorry. So I'm sure that lot 166 was subdivided a long, long time ago, or not? Maybe not.
No, we had a subdivision that created lot 166 in,
2018.
yeah,
Okay, but this is square 5624, must have been subdivided earlier. And the alley would have shown up on that subdivision.
correct.
Okay. So technically 2018 is correct, but the alley was dedicated much earlier than 2018.
Correct. And I can provide that also. I think it's a part of my package, but if not, I'll make sure you guys have that.
Okay, that would be helpful. So that answers that question. The only objection on this one is from DDOT.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. DDOT. So I think it's completely reasonable to say that there ought to be this north-south alley created, except I think the testimony was that the east-west alley is unimproved at that part. So we would be creating a new alley segment that goes nowhere. Further, if I heard the testimony correctly, the this proposed alley from DDOT would have made sense if it had been incorporated in the building plans before the building got built.
Both of those are correct. I do not know why it was not incorporated into the building plans. This plat was generated before the building plans were submitted. but I don't believe that the previous owner built them according to the plat. Also, I think that part of the reason that may have happened is because the plat wasn't recorded. And so there was nothing to build on the site according to. So I think the construction on the property moved ahead of the plat that was generated that my colleagues in the Office of the Surveyor have. And so this was not built when they built out the campus, the previous owner. And it does abut an unimproved segment of the alley. I think the last 3 properties for that southern 12-foot alley have it unimproved.
I'm sorry, say that again.
The 12-foot public alley that would connect to this, it's improved up until I think lot 102, perhaps the lot before, but then it is unimproved on those behind those last 3 properties. So there's an entrance to it further down our street, and it's improved through those. But then once you arrive around lot 102, it is unimproved. So this is, I think, a forward-looking alley connection, were the alley to be improved.
For what purpose?
Why would the alley be improved later?
Correct, because lots 102, 106, 143, 144, and 145 are not dependent on it.
Correct. I think that we would hope and intend for the alley to get improved if there were any further development on this property. If there were development on those properties that would extend to the public alley, we would want to make sure that they connected appropriately. So I know because it's a paper alley, we would essentially want to make sure that the connection is still valid.
So how does DDOT propose that this would happen? Because this would cut into the, I don't know if it's a rear lot requirement or a side yard requirement. You said rear yard requirement or side yard requirement. So how would DDOT?
If these other properties were developed, is that what you're asking? Like if we?
No, not if, because if the other properties, yes, if the school were to tear itself down, or the owner of 106 were to tear itself down.
Right.
Then you would have land, but absent that.
I can't speak to what we would intend to happen there. I just think that the connection here on our street was proposed with the expectation that that alley could be built out. But it is true that it is currently unimproved in a paper alley for this segment. Since it is already built out on the west side, I think if it were completely unimproved, we would obviously feel differently. But since it's mostly improved, there's always the potential that you could connect the alley to this entrance.
So this plat was prepared in 2017?
Correct.
By the surveyor. Is that correct, Mr. Labrador?
Yes. The reason why it looks so new is because we just grabbed it and reprinted it. That's why it looks so fresh, but it had a different version in terms of the line work. It looks, you can tell it's 8 years old.
Okay. And then Eagle Academy built its building, either of you know? Built building subsequent to that. Built around the alley. Can you go back to the folks at DDOT and see how strongly they feel about this?
Yes, I know that our colleagues in planning have felt that this condition should remain as a part of the closure. We can certainly follow back up with you, but my most recent conversation with them has indicated that they are still very supportive of the long-term connectivity through the unimproved alley, this like the right of way that exists, even though it's not currently improved.
Yeah, supportive of, I think it makes a lot of sense. I said that except for one thing. And that is the moment. And the moment is that there's a school and the school would like to be able to use the alley. And there is no evident purpose for the alley, and DDOT seems to agree there's no evident purpose for that segment of the alley. And so we basically are stuck at nothing because, or the school could go through a BZA case to remove this rear yard requirement. Somehow the mayor's growth agenda keeps going through my mind, how this would correlate to the mayor's growth agenda, that we're creating these burdens for existing institutions.
So I think that, so the segment of the alley that we want to close is obviously like, would be very useful to the campus. We are not opposed to closing that segment. The additional connection, as far as I know, I can only see some most recent satellite images of the segment, are not, they are fully on the campus's property. I don't know that there's a building on this 16-foot segment. So I don't know that I don't know what burden the 16-foot segment puts on the campus property once we close the piece
Well,
that, yes.
The attorney, it was Miss Moldenauer, she made reference to a rear yard requirement. I don't know if you can use an alley as part of your rear yard, a public alley as part of your rear yard calculation. Of course, we could put the school through a lot of additional legal costs to come up with easements. If you could just take that back.
Certainly.
I think we want to be helpful to the school. With regard to the cul-de-sac, I think this question is to somebody, maybe Mr. Labrador. Pepco has an objection. Is that an objection that we should make as part of this legislation?
As far as I know, they just wanted, I don't know what they're at today in terms of how they want to follow this up, but they just wanted to make sure that they were coordinating in terms of any, let me cite the specific. They just wanted to make sure that they were coordinating with them throughout the development, so there's no interruption or any miscommunication in terms of the distribution of within the public easement area, right? Any conflict that they might have in the development.
Yes, so how should we approach that? Or do you have a sense? In terms of legislation, sometimes we do these closings with the following conditions. But this one seems a little bit like the applicant must collaborate with Pepco Distribution Engineering to resolve any conflicts. It's not exactly good legislative language.
Right.
Maybe, since I know they're listening, the applicant could get back to us on this point. Well, yeah.
Can move on. Can you squeeze it?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Carolyn Brown for the record. We're happy to file a letter saying that we have no objection to the recommendation of Pepco, just to make it clean in the record that we will coordinate with them. And I think that's
Okay.
pretty typical.
That would be good.
Thank you. We'll be happy to
seen-
file that.
Had you seen this objection before?
Just recently, yes.
Okay, yeah, that would be good.
Thank you.
Thank you. On this same issue, Mr. Miller. So DDOT objects to the closing, recommending instead that the closure plat not be recorded until WMATA enters into and records a public access easement agreement with DDOT.
Correct, which we have both signed.
So why, it's just a matter of somebody recording it.
Correct.
You know why it hasn't been recorded?
I believe it was just signed recently. I think it's a timing issue, if I'm not mistaken.
Just signed recently. I know what that means at these hearings. That means it was like signed yesterday or last week.
I don't think that recently.
So I'll just look at Ms. Brown. So it'll be recorded soon? All right, come on back. I don't know why you left the table.
Thank you. Again, Carolyn Brown for the record. The specific provision in the easement agreement says that it will not be recorded until the legislation becomes effective. And the reason for that is because you don't want to record it now and have a cloud on title if for some reason the legislation isn't adopted.
So that timing works for you? That we passed the legislation, then the easement's recorded, then the plat gets recorded,
Correct.
and everybody's happy with
And
that?
that is also the sequence that typically happens. And it's always gets a little jumbled at the end, trying to get everything recorded in order to get the plat issued, but it works. And everything's signed.
So, hold on a second. When are we planning on moving? What, you can't do, we're doing RFK and the budget? And TOPA? Yeah. I hope you all didn't hear that. So if we were to put this before the council in the fall, which means like September or October, we could do it at that time with an emergency bill accompanying it, but my understanding is that the surveyor doesn't record plats based on emergency bills. Would the emergency be sufficient for you to record the easement? Scenario 2 is, regardless of whether we do an emergency bill, we have passed the permanent bill, Bill 26 dash, whatever it is, 160. We've passed it and sent it to Congress. Would it need to wait for congressional review before you would record the easement?
Technically, I think that it has to be effective according to the easement terms. But once it becomes effective, we record it and we immediately go to the surveyor's office and get the street closing plat recorded.
So just so you understand, we're probably not going to put this before the council until the fall. And I'm going to say October. I think we have a meeting October 7th, 2 readings. Depending on our schedule, that means it could be November, goes to the mayor. The mayor has 10 days. He signs it, then transmitted to Congress, end of November, early December, the 30-day congressional review period. Of course, they probably meet every day, not passing a budget. So it may not complete congressional review until January. And you would file the easement then?
Yes, again, we're aware of the timing, and if there's a way that we need to have it, accelerated, we could try to revise the terms, but it was very important for us not to have it recorded before the effective date of the legislation due to clouds on title.
Okay. So I don't think I have any other questions for you. Thank you. So then that gets us to 26-216. So, Mr. Labrador, you don't know anything more about the plats with regard to the South Capitol Street
be inquiring the plats around the former.
Yeah. I mean, there is, DDOT created a, I believe it's called a stadia, singular, stadium. Stadium. That's what the oval at the, I'm getting a blank look from you. That's what the oval on the approach, this side of the river to the South Capitol Street Bridge, and I think there's one like it on the other side. Those
Correct.
ovals are called, one of those ovals is called a stadium. The two of them are called stadia. Am I right?
I do not know if that is the word for that.
So DDOT created those, built those, and they were not dedicated. They, correct. They weren't dedicated by the council.
The roadways on the approach to the bridge.
Yeah. If I looked at the highway plan, I wouldn't see these ovals. If I were to look in the, if I were to look at the, in the surveyor's office, I might see land set aside for street purposes, but I would not see the dedication of the new configuration for South Capitol Street approaching the bridge.
I will have to follow up with you about that. I was under the impression that we had a TOJ last year that included part of this,
TOJ, transfer of jurisdiction.
Yes, excuse me, a transfer of jurisdiction that covered part of this, but we will follow up with you about the roadways there.
Well, I'm just thinking that, we don't have one today, but we do get plats from the surveyor that show a right of way, might even show the adjacent building restriction line and the sidewalks and the roadway itself. Maybe not, but fairly detailed with regard to these rights of way. But I don't think I'll find in the surveyor's office anything like that for these ovals, also known as stadia. So you'll get back to us on that.
Yes, I'm looking to see if I can find anything in GIS right now, but I think we should follow up with you.
Okay. Yeah, we appreciate our role in the process. Give me a second. So thank you each of you for your testimony. Mr. Miller, you're going to get back to us on several things. You can get back to us on, where I had some questions. You may not need to get back to me where it says 2 signs, 3 signs. Mr. Cash will work with you. You already said that if it requires an additional sign, that can be absorbed, so there's no issue there. However, there were a couple where I said, should it be the entire system, alley system or not? And I think it's especially important with Bill 26-120 and 26-220. And you're going to look at that because we're looking to move those on July 14th. They both have to do with enabling their official names, enabling these housing. That's 120 and 220. You're also going to get back to us with regard to the stadia.
Correct. I will follow up on the plats and maybe an updated letter to the committee for the public record by next Friday. And for the stadia, we may have to follow up after the public record just to ensure that the plats are updated before the public record closes.
Okay, and then you're also going to get back to us on the alley, the proposed alley in connection with Lee Montessori.
Correct.
And Mr. Labrador, you're going to check your records for the plats for the South Capitol Street Bridge approaches.
Absolutely. I also want to make sure that I provide you if I don't have it in my package, I want to make sure you also have when the alley was created for 17.
Yes, that would be good. All right, I have no other questions for you. Thank you, each of you, for your testimony. Where are we here? I'm not going to repeat all the bill numbers, but this was a hearing on roughly a dozen different bills dealing with street names, a park name, a bridge name, and 4 alley closings. One of the alley closings, Bill 26-166, we had no witnesses, government or private, and there's a development in connection with that, so we're going to reschedule that hearing. Otherwise, meaning for all the other measures, the record is open until 5 p.m. on July 13th, which I think is a Sunday. We have a legislative meeting on the 14th. The time is 1:13 p.m. and this